Welcome to another cold case murder story. Today we're going to look at the Leah Rowland case. Leah Rowland was born in 1956. Leah was described as being generous, outgoing, good-hearted, and someone who got along well with people. So on March 10th of 1997, she was living in Cozad, Nebraska. It is that day that she was tragically killed at the age of 41. The day previous, she had been promoted to manager, so this likely was the cause of her being in the Cozad Amoco gas station alone when the killer came in. Now it says he came in, I think, about 10:23 a.m. I'm not sure if the Amoco station is still there. I was only able to find 4 gas stations in the town. None of them were called Amoco. So it says he pulled up to the gas pumps, filled up his tank, and went inside. There were apparently 2 customers in the gas station at the time, a woman and a child. So he waited until they left. Apparently he just kind of milled around, grabbed a soda, opened it, looked right into the camera, and then proceeded to drink the pop. Now, after the pair of customers left, it's at that point that he approached the cash register and demanded the money. Leah actually readily complied with his demands and gave him all the money. It totaled $150. At that point, he instructed Leah to lay down on the floor. Then, for some reason, he stood there for about a minute or two, and then ultimately leaned over the counter and shot her 3 times. It says the weapon he used was a 9mm semi-automatic. 2 of the shots went into her arm, but a 3rd went into the back of her head. So the police had approximately 11 minutes of video surveillance. They also had fingerprints and pictures of the vehicle. Apparently the front plate was missing from the vehicle, and the back plate was blurry in the images, so they weren't able to get an exact plate number. The make and model of the car was estimated to be between a 1993 and a 1995, and it was a red 2-door Pontiac Grand Am. It appears that 6 different law enforcement agencies, including local and federal, like the FBI, worked on the case, and despite all the evidence, it yet remains unsolved. It's been 23 years. Now, the FBI profiler pictured this individual as being a pro, saying that they believe this was random and it was a crime of opportunity, and they believe that he may have committed the same type of crime again later on. Now, Leah's brother has a different theory. So a little backstory here. Leah was divorced and had fled an abusive husband prior to her murder. She and her previous husband had owned a restaurant. The restaurant was located in St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Leah's brother believes her ex-husband, Barry Rocap Sr., who is now deceased, paid this individual to murder his ex-wife. Apparently, Leah's brother found something odd in the style of clothing that the man was wearing. Now, this would have been early March, so in Nebraska, it's still quite chilly. But the person came in barefoot with a pair of dark sweatpants pushed up to his knees. So the way her brother describes it, he says, "This guy who killed my sister comes into that gas station with clam diggers on. That's when your pants are rolled up to your knees." Apparently in warmer areas, people dress that way. It's warm there. But again, in early March in Nebraska, it would have been quite chilly to be coming in barefoot with clam diggers. So he seemed to feel that this is the style of dress that someone would have, you know, in the St. Thomas area. So that's kind of weird. Further, it seems that when she left her husband, she apparently took some money that he likely considered to be his. She also is said to have written a 16-page letter to her two sons, detailing the abuse and explaining, why she left St. Thomas. Now, this letter was sent, oddly, less than a year before her murder. So that would indicate like three possible motives for the ex-husband, to have wanted to do such a thing. However, it appears the law enforcement agencies are working it as kind of from a local angle. So now the gas station was near Route 30 and Interstate 80, which would allow, an easy getaway. Interstate 80 runs the rest of the way across the country, all the way into New York. So in addition to the money, it said that the man put in a full tank of gas, so it was $17.20. He also got a pack of cigarettes and a lighter, and of course the soda. It would seem to me that he was in the right location with the right amount of gas for a long drive. Now, Leah's brother is offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. There was some other speculation in different comments that I was reading through online where people had surmised that perhaps it was a transient. But I'm thinking if it's 1997 and this car was made in somewhere between 93 and 95, this would indicate someone who has, a fair amount of money. So I would tend to agree that it would seem that this person was, in fact, not a local. It also seems to me that given the amount of time that he spent in the gas station and on surveillance camera, even looking directly into the camera, I would think if he was a local, he would have probably been a little more cautious about, leaving evidence behind. And that also seems to call into question, the fact that he just killed her because she was a witness. Because clearly, they have his face. They have a picture of his car. They have fingerprints. So I think the robbery, to me, seems like it very likely could have been a smokescreen. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not they actually went down to St. Thomas to do any investigating down there. It would have been a good idea to maybe see if the children had, any indication of their father being acquainted with the individual in the picture, or even maybe recognizing the vehicle in the surveillance photos. Also, I would think they could have checked for maybe cigarettes laying outside on the ground, since he did he stole a pack of cigarettes. I'm also wondering what he did with the soda. I would have been looking to see if maybe he took any trash out of his vehicle while the gas was pumping, or emptied his ashtray. Another good idea would have been to kind of look at the color of the license plate to see if it actually looked like something local. Even though you can't read it, there's different plates for, each individual state. Now, I did find one source that said there may have been another customer outside when the killer first got to the gas station, but I couldn't find that in any other sources. I couldn't find any indication of whether that individual was located and questioned. Also, in addition to the dark sweatpants, it was said that he was wearing a dark hoodie and a bomber jacket, so that might be, some items of clothing and a style of dress that someone who knows him could recognize. There was also the possibility of maybe cross-referencing, flights leaving the United States headed for St. Thomas in the days afterward to see if they could match any photographs. I did look for updated information on Facebook. I was able to find that there are now 3 sons, so assumedly one is a half-brother. It appears that at least 2 of the boys are now in Kentucky, and at least one of them did leave about 12 years before the father passed away and named his daughter after his mother. Now, out of respect to the children, I've chosen not to share any photographs or personal information that I found online. Anyway, I would tend to agree, I think, with the brothers' theory rather than the local idea. The man just didn't seem to have any kind of concern that he was going to be recognized. Hopefully one day the case will be solved and Leah will have justice. Thanks so much for watching. Good night and God bless.